Greetings from Japan. This is William Reed, and I want to offer you an invitation to an internship. Now, the traditional dilemma in the job search is that you can't get a job without experience, and you can't get experience without a job. So, where does that leave you? Well, an innovative solution that people have come up with is something called the internship, or more classically known as an apprenticeship. The internship solves the problem because it allows you to get just enough experience without having to overcommit yourself, and it enables you to make a good judgment about how and what direction you want to pursue further. Now, the problem in learning the disciplines of the samurai goes even further, and that is that of accessibility. First of all, there's the language barrier. Most, I would say 90% or more of the really good stuff about samurai culture is taught in or written about in Japanese. Now, that being said, a lot has been translated into English, and some of it is excellent. However, there is the huge barrier of learning Japanese. I know because I've done it. Now, most people are not going to go through that effort, and they don't really need to, because in my internship program, I will teach you in English. The second barrier is geography. How are you going to get to Japan with all the travel restrictions and the expense and all the other reasons why it becomes difficult to actually engage in samurai disciplines? However, online, we can overcome that. Moreover, I'll be doing it one-on-one so that you can actually even customize it to your schedule. So you don't have the barriers of geography that ordinarily would hold you back. Thirdly, it's time. It takes time. It takes decades to actually master one of the disciplines of, say, the martial arts or calligraphy. However, there's been a very interesting discovery by a man named Josh Kaufman, who wrote a book called The First 20 Hours, in which he actually tested himself in 5 different disciplines using really good structured, it was self-coaching in his case, but good structured principles for learning each discipline, and a concentrated focus of about 20 hours, and he was actually able to do quite a decent job. And I've actually tested this with my university students and see that it is quite possible. So the internship would not give you the full 20 hours because it's just 4 hours but it would point you in the direction, and there is a possibility for going further after that. So yes, it is possible to shrink the time, because so much of the time that the decades that it takes is having to go the long way around and learn the hard way without much explanation and kind of discover on your own. Well, my long journey can become your short path. Another is accessibility. With all the plethora of choices, there's so many different disciplines and teachers, and even how you can even reach them. And then do you have to join their organization and sign up and take the tests and everything? So where to start? Well, in this internship program, which is only 4 hours, I will give you a good start on that would help you also make your decision for future direction. Guidance is another problem that holds people back, because mostly for economies of scale, these things are taught in group lessons at the convenience of the instructor and when the dojo happens to be open. Well, I will guide you one-on-one at your convenience. So you will get much more personal attention, and that can get right down to the root of what it is that you want to and need to learn to move to the next step quickly. And the last but not least, you have the barrier, sometimes real, sometimes perceived, of gender and or age discrimination. This can be quite significant, even if it's just something that happens to exist because of the tradition, or if it's a self-belief that, well, I can't really do this or whatever. Well, this is not going to be an issue at all in the internship. So it doesn't matter, male, female, young, old, you are welcome. Now, internships address all of these limitations. And I want to briefly describe because I have two internship programs, one in Samurai Self-Mastery, one in Samurai Self-Discovery. So I want to briefly describe what we do in the 4 sessions. For the Self-Mastery program, based on the principles of Shingitai, which is mind, discipline, and body, there are 4 sessions. So the first session is called Sword of the Mind. The first session is Wisdom in the Samurai Classics, and this is basically an introduction to what you can learn from reading, and there are excellent books available in English, particularly the Book of 5 Rings by Miyamoto Musashi and other selected writings of the sword masters, and how you approach a reading session. I'd always wanted to start a group, let's say a book club or a reading session, but it's hard to get people to get together on a regular basis. But I can get you started in your own reading program that will direct you to Wisdom in the Samurai Classics. In session 2, we look at the Sword of the Mind. And the sword was considered to be the soul of the samurai. And in this session, we will use a wooden sword, which is readily available from Amazon. And I'll teach you the basics of how to hold the sword, what it meant, and how to do some really basic sword movements. So you get a feeling of the power that you gain through this amazing discipline that had been developed by the samurai over centuries. It's a great way of self-tuning. And we will look at some of the basic things you can do that in session 2. In session 3, I call The Way of the Brush. Now, calligraphy is a discipline that does take a long time to master. However, because of the samurai emphasis, I've selected, and I've experimented with this quite a lot, the topic of samurai signatures. This is a fascinating study because all of the samurai, particularly those of higher rank, would have their own unique signature. Now, these signatures are not even necessarily written in Chinese characters, Japanese characters, although sometimes they're based on it, but they sometimes incorporate imagery and abstract symbolism, and they're quite beautiful and surprisingly modern in design. And they also tell you a lot about the author or the designer of the signature. And by going through a series of layers where you learn the stroke order, and you can get a simple brush and paper on Amazon here too, you learn how to see the balance of it, because it's tricky. They're often asymmetrical, and how to paint the actual spaces inside. So you don't really even need to learn how to know how to read Japanese at all. It's more of a gestalt experience of see if you can recreate this beautiful design. And then also the stroke quality and speed, which I will demonstrate. And then you also learn about the author of the original signature. And I've got some articles even about many of the famous samurai that do that. And the 4th session is presenting what you've learned in the first 3. Using techniques of world-class speaking, of which I am a coach, we will use a framework for constructing a powerful story, and in which you can extract the lessons that you actually gained from samurai wisdom, from the sword movements, and from the samurai brush signatures, into a powerful summary of your learnings. And in fact, once you get the formula of the structure of how to make this story, you can go back and create again and again stories of what you've learned and what you continue to learn, and that you can share on social media or with your friends, and it could be recorded or it could just be live and conversations. So that would take you through the first 4 sessions of the Samurai Self-Mastery course. Now, the parallel internship, you can do them both together or in sequence or just one or the other, however you like, but is Samurai Self-Discovery Internship, which is also 4 60-minute sessions. Now, the samurai pursued their own journey of self-discovery, often traveling on foot. There wasn't much other choice other than horse available, but they would travel amazing distances. And They also engaged in an intense study of philosophy, particularly Neo-Confucian philosophy, and this led to their often passionate pursuit of their kokorozashi, which the character is written for the word samurai mind, but it means your mission or your sense of purpose. In fact, they were often described as men of purpose. Well, the samurai developed this path, which is a combination of intense study of philosophy and your reason for being, with walking. Now, we live in an age of disengaged disembodiment, I like to call it, whereas we're just spending so much time in front of this computer screen and not getting out and about and not getting off our seat and onto our feet as we even before had to do, just commuting to work. And this is quite a negative trend because, well, doctors recognize that sedentary life, sitting for 8 hours or more a day, is actually worse for you than smoking and can predispose you to all kinds of diseases that are ordinarily associated with heavy smoking. That's serious stuff. Well, fortunately, in this internship, I can give you some techniques for how to get out and walk, and also discover sort of the philosophy that drives your own sense of purpose. So there are 4 sessions. The first one I call the Samurai Ikigai Assessment. Ikigai means, it's often translated as reason for being or purpose for living, what gets you out of bed in the morning. And it's often described as what the combination, the sweet spot between what you're good at, what you love to do, what the world needs, and what kind of impact you make, or how you can get paid for what you do. And thinking of the sweet spot analogous in tennis or baseball, it's the center that combines all those, that just feels so good. In fact, it almost feels like nothing at all, but you hit the ball so far and so accurately. So how do you get that clarity in your own life and reach a point where you have gratitude for what you have right now, where you are, and inspiration for how you can optimize and make it what it actually even should be and could be simultaneously. So we'll do that in session 1. We'll give you a framework for working with that. And in session 2, I call Samurai Walk, or Namba, the art of physical finesse. Namba is the way that the the samurai walked. It's the way that they moved. It's based on 3 principles: don't force, don't twist, don't disconnect. And there's a whole curriculum of exercises that go with it. But I will give you some simple exercises that help you sit or stand without fatigue and move, and particularly walk really, really smoothly, cool, like a cat or like a samurai. And this will be an excellent form of self-tuning, which can help accelerate your mastery in whatever you do, give you enhanced energy, and self-tuning. So this, I think, is a really good introduction to Namba. Of course, there's a whole program behind it as well. In session 3, we look at what I call the art of flexible focus. Now, the samurai learned by doing, and they had to learn to adapt to amazing changes in their society and in shifting loyalties and often life and death situations. So you needed to be really flexible in your focus. Well, in Buddhism, there's a form of thought called the mandala, and it's often described in religious, or Buddhism's more of a philosophy than a religion, with various Buddhist figures in it. But we have something called the mandala chart, which is the essence of the flexible focus, because you have 3x3 frames, which enable you by, and I'll show you how to do this, to gain the multiple perspectives. You can get the bird's eye view, seeing the whole. You can zero down into one of the frames and get the insect's view for detail. You can get the fish's view of the connection between the things, of sensitivity for trends. And you can get also the outside view of the owl, which kind of the wisdom view, the summary of the whole thing. And you can even see things from the way the bat sees things, which is upside down. So you can kind of get the fool's view of the craziness and absurdity of it all, and adapt to that. So we will, in that session, look at your future focus for 8 areas of your life: your health, your business, your finances, your home, society, your personal or character, and then your learning and your leisure. So we'll look at all of these, and it's just in an hour, so I'll introduce the method of how you approach it, and then of course you can go deeper in your own time. But I'll show you how to use the mandala chart, including online software for it. And in session 4 is about presenting what you have learned, your samurai lessons. So using a framework from World Class Speaking, of which I am a certified coach, we will extract the lessons that you gained from your Ikigai assessment from Samurai Walk, Namba, and the mandala chart, so that you will be able to deliver a good, quick, fascinating, inspiring presentation of your Ikigai, if you will. Or one part of it. It could be about your what you're passionate about, or what you're good at, or how you're addressing some need in the world, or how you're making an impact, or you want to encourage and inspire others to join you in making an impact in some way. But you'll do it with samurai strength and focus, and you will be off to a great start. And beyond the internship program, as I say, there are 2, the self-mastery and self-discovery. You can also come on later for additional sessions to go much deeper. So I look forward to seeing you in one or both of these internship programs, and it'll be customized all for you, one-on-one, at a time and place that's convenient for you. See you on the inside.